Alright, you guys, ignore the mess. I'm making a casserole. But I just wanted to do this video because I like to do videos on this from time to time. It's something that, I know a lot of other parents deal with, especially with kids who are autistic. And so I just think it's important that people know they're not alone and they're not doing anything wrong. So as I've talked about before, my son, now Mix 6.0, he has suffered, or I shouldn't say suffered, that's not a good way to say it. He has dealt with food aversions for a long time, and I remember, when he was a lot younger, I used to get a lot more shit for it, like, oh, he doesn't eat them because he's never been introduced to healthy foods, which obviously was a lie, or, if that's the only option he has, he'll eat it, just wait till they're starving. Who even says that? If any therapist says that to you, run. But to be honest, over the years, sometimes like dinners and lunches and stuff for my son didn't look, you know, like balanced meals to other people. But it was all he would really eat. And when I say that, I don't just mean like he was picky. Picky eating is much different than actual food aversions. People presume that people with food aversions, they're just picky eaters, you know what I mean? That's not the case. In my son's case, when he's dealt with food aversions, the sensory impact of the foods or the textures and everything, could actually make him feel sick and stuff. It was painful. It's very different than just being a picky eater. So, for instance, right now, I'm making my son what he calls a Krabby Patty, and actually, for a long time, forever, this is actually just recent, he started eating, meat like this. For a long time, he would only eat, like, certain chicken nuggets, McDonald's chicken nuggets, and that was it. And if you think that I wouldn't drive my kid to McDonald's every day just to make sure he ate, whether you thought I was a bad parent or not, he's been in feeding therapy for a while, and now he will eat plain burgers. And I'm going to show you what it looks like when I put it on his plate, because I think it's important to see what some kids eat, whether it's your definition, that's his door alarm, whether it's your definition of healthy or not. He's under the guidance of a pediatrician, feeding specialist, OT, PT, blah, the list goes on. So it's just important to show this. This is it. A plain burger, no bun, no cheese, no condiments, and he will love it. Now I gotta go put it in the freezer till it's hard as a rock, so hope you're having a good day. And you're not alone, and you're a good parent. If you're doing your best, then there's no room for guilt. That's what I always tell myself. Hi, yes, actually, I did graduate from college on the dean's list. I just went for a 2-year medical administration program. This is me and Roman on my graduation day. This is me accepting an award for my high academic honors. But yeah, I did. I graduated the 2-year program, and I did it without taking any math classes. I somehow tested out of math. I have no clue how, because when I went into college, I was on a 7th grade math level after being at a behavioral school for high school. Totally no hate to the behavioral school I went to, but when you're trying to stop kids from like climbing up towers and like jumping each other, math is not a huge priority. Interestingly, I graduated in 2015, so that was not 10 years ago, but around that long ago. And I had visible tattoos, not as much as I do now, definitely. But I did have some visible tattoos, and I personally then did not see a lot of women with hand tattoos, chest tattoos, stuff like that. Now it's very common, but when I got tattooed as a woman like that, I don't remember it being as common. And I could not get placed into an internship in the medical field because of my tattoos. But I still somehow graduated. The thing is, though, is I went to look for positions after I graduated, and I would have made less, being a medical office assistant than I was making, with my own business that I had at the time, which I still have. So instead, I just picked up more clients with my job, because usually I do they call it consulting. I don't really think it is. And I actually started transcribing death records. Well, medical records, but a big portion of them were death records. That was a wild job. I mean, it was sad, but it was also shocking, and I definitely couldn't do it now. It would give me too much anxiety. I don't know how I did it. But having that, diploma or whatever definitely helped. But yeah, a lot of people a lot of people, when they ask me about my background, they'll be like, did you graduate high school? And I'll say, yeah, I am a college graduate. I graduated college. And they're like, oh, that's so good for you. Because they would never think that. And I'm totally not downing anybody that doesn't have a high school diploma, doesn't have a GED, whatever, because in my opinion, trade work right now, whoo, You don't really honestly need to have those things, in my opinion, to really move forward in the world, not from what I've seen lately anyways. And it's certainly not a reflection of somebody's, intelligence or character. But yes, I have gone to college, I graduated, high honors, very proud of that. Alright, you guys, I'm making my kid a hot dog and some chips for lunch. I'm also going to make myself some coffee. Now, here's the thing. There's a lot of specifics that need to go on with this hot dog in order for my kid to eat it. For one, we don't call it a hot dog. It's a chum dog. Alright, and you want to know something? Why do people bitch about dishes in people's videos? Like what? Are you saying that I have home-cooked meals? Oh, say less. My family is well cared for. Okay, so I got some butter. Needs to have butter, which I don't blame in boiled hot dogs. I just can't do it. Chum dogs, my bad. Okay. So now, I'm melting that, or it would help if the stove was on. And now I'm cutting the slices in it, but it has to be in a way that doesn't make the hot dog bend too much or he won't eat it. By the way, he didn't eat this, so I did something wrong. Okay, so, I am heating it up. Oh, look I'm Hufflepuff. I'm making my coffee. I am Hufflepuff. My husband is, I almost said a Scorpio, a Slytherin, same thing. Okay, I'm trying not to get a clump. Oh, I got a clump. It's fine. It'll melt, whatever. Now I'm going to use this silk soy creamer and vanilla. I ran out of the peppermint mocha creamer. It kind of looks like, I use the Dunkin' nutmeg coffee. So I'm going to put it in the freezer to cool off. It has to be freezing cold. So there we go. Now, the coffee ended up looking like, what is that called? An espresso. Oh, I'm going to try to pour it. Shit. It's all right. It's under control. It's under control. I'm going to try to do it again, though. Okay, so here I go again. Am I going to make it? Am I going to make it? Am I going to make it? All right, there we go, and there's his hot dog. All right, it's burnt to a crisp, just the way. Oh, chum dog, I'm sorry. So I hope you're all having a great day, or great afternoon, I should say. I'll see you later. All right, you guys, so I got this small whiteboard, and I am going to use it to establish some rules within the household for my son. I actually created an acronym to make it easier for him. Maybe it'll work. Acronyms make things easier for me to remember. So R is for respect others. U is for use electronics responsibly. L is for let a trusted adult know that you need help before it escalates, and that's because, sometimes he gets frustrated if he can't do things on his own, and I'd rather him, ask for help so we can guide him in the right direction before there is a blowout. E is for engage in life skills safely and responsibly, and I want him to rely on others as little as possible. However, there's boundaries, sometimes he thinks he can go in the kitchen and cook up, a hamburger when that's not safe, so that's what the E rule is for. And S is for speak up, but speak kindly. I always want my son to know that he can speak up, he can advocate for himself, but he should do so in a kind manner. By the way, if you didn't catch on, it spells rules. That was the acronym.
Yeah, they're invincible, and she just in the background. And she says, I wish that I could be that cool kid.
So my son earned his phone back, and honestly, he's been doing really well with it. But he's been texting the Xfinity bot. So first he sends a selfie of himself, and then he says, ha 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 ha. And obviously it's a bot, so it's responding like a bot would. So then he sends a sardine from SpongeBob and says, meep. And he means to say meep down here, but autocorrect changed it to keep. And he meant to say meep down here, but autocorrect changed it to keep. By the way, if you didn't know, he gets to be Buzz Lightyear for Halloween, and my husband and I, we get to be sardines, so. So then after that, he sent a memoji of my husband and said, it's Eli! Once again, it's a bot, so. Okay, but this is possibly my favorite part. He sends them a link to Oh My God by Usher and will.i.am, and then he says, this song, with a period. This song. He sends a picture of our center island that I just organized and said, flower egg, because it looks like the flowers are in the eggs, but they're not. Then the ending was strong. He ended with this. Him as an octopus saying hello, so yeah. So it was voting day in my state a couple days ago. Or is it nationwide? I don't really know. And I don't get political on here, and I'm not about to, but this was a doozy. So my son's in the back of the car, and as we're driving, obviously there's tons of political signs everywhere. And my son's new thing, he doesn't get in the car without his Magnadoodle. And he sees these signs, and he takes a specific interest in one politician's name who literally has just the complete opposite beliefs as me. So then we're driving along and we pass like the actual building that people vote in. And as usual, they have like people crowded around with signs like, yeah, yeah. And of course, my son thinks it's great. It's a fucking party. Little did I know that he replicated the signs he saw and he wrote this politician's name on his Magna Doodle. And when we pass this crowd of people, he holds it out the window like, yeah! Fuck. What do you think of me driving?
In the car.
Yeah, in the car.
I will drive in the car.
No, you can't drive. Do you think I'm a good driver?
Okay.
Really? Because I definitely heard you say under your breath, rescue me. Why does Eli have to be in here? You think Eli's a better driver than me? Who do you think's a better driver? Eli or Mama?
Mama!
I think you're lying to me, but that's sweet. Who do you think would get a speeding ticket first? Mama or Eli?
Mama!
Okay. You remember when you were little and I first got my license and I got in the driver's seat and you were so scared that you threw your sippy cup on the car floor?
Okay.
No, you don't. I remember that, though, very well. Let me tell you something right now, okay? I sees this banana, this toy. I'm not even going to lift it up, and you'll see why. This toy banana on the table, covered in salt. I'm like, what the hell did my kid do? Is he, like, pouring salt on this freaking banana? You don't even salt real bananas, okay? Let me just show you something. Gonna be a long night.
Ready?
Good night. I love you.
Did you hear Mama?
Hi, thank you for your question. So for those who don't know, my son is autistic and he has a tendency to elope, which means he like runs away or wanders, and it's very, very scary. And because of that, he has a GPS tracker on every single day. We have tried various GPS trackers, but we settled for GeoBit. We're really pleased with it. It works great, and I'm gonna show you how it works because every night before I go to bed I have to detach it from his pants, which I'll show you how it's attached. This is his pocket, and these are like sort of like those security tag things. I'm always afraid someone will think he has like stolen shorts on, but that's what these are. And I'm gonna show you how I get them off. So this is a case from when we had Angel Sense. We no longer use them because it just wasn't practical for us. It was very expensive. This one, I don't remember how much I paid outright. It was maybe like $70 or so, but monthly I only pay $14.99, which Angel Sense I think was $40 a month. I think that's what I was paying, and it was just very bulky, and some of the features we didn't need, so I still use some stuff from it though. By the way, I bought the Angel Sense stuff outright, and when I canceled with them, they actually wanted me, they bugged me for a while to send it back. I'm like, I paid for this. Why would I send it back? Okay, so I have the key from the Angel Sense, and see, you know, the security tag. So they just pop on like that. See this? This is what the back looks like. And I take it off. I'm going to do the other one. You ready? Pull the back off. They just go together like this, like a little security tag. That's what they are, I guess. And I'll show you the actual GeoBit and how we fasten it. So my husband had this idea. He puts it on like sort of a string so that, and he hooks this into the security tags so that if even Roman, because he used to like try to pull it out. So it's just an added security measure, but this is what it looks like. It's very tiny. I'm going to show you the charger as well. The only thing, I wish this was longer, but that's fine. It's not a big deal. So I have some dust in there. You just do that, and then you just pop it in like that, and it charges. It works with Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, I think, is it satellite? I don't know. But it literally, one of my favorite things is if you have a runner, they have running mode where you can chase them in real time in case they run away, which my son has. So yeah, that's what we use, the GeoBit. I highly recommend it. I'm not sponsored or anything. It's just I really think it could help a lot of families, and it's very affordable. Maybe not the initial purchase, but the subscription cost, so highly recommend. Well, if I was a betting man, I'd say somewhere that rhymes with shell. No, but really, my son's father passed away when he was about 6 or 7. He died from an OD of fentanyl, bath salts, and several other substances. But my son did know his dad, and he was fairly close with his dad. However, that doesn't mean his dad was safe. When my son's father first passed away, I honestly didn't know how to deal with it. My, impulsive reaction was just like, oh, your dad's in heaven now. And I wish I never said that. For one, I wish I never said that because my son's autistic and he's very literal. Right after I said it, I knew it was a mistake. I was thinking, I just knew. Because he doesn't have a concept of death and how permanent it is. So he just, he heard heaven and he viewed it as a place. And that's really scary for a child that doesn't have a concept of death, because I don't even want to explain it. But also I regret it because for those who are new, my relationship with my son's father, this is obviously before I transitioned, it was beyond horrible. I was his third legal victim, just ones that, actually got taken to court and he pled guilty to. Well, I know he pled guilty to 2 out of 3. And by the time he passed away, there were 6 legal victims. For a long time, I wanted to shield my son from knowing about, any of the abuse that I went through. I felt that I was doing him a service as his parent and protecting him and just keeping his world much brighter. But that's not true. After a lot of healing, a lot of therapy, a lot of things, I realized that I didn't want to shield my son from knowing about this for his own benefit. I was doing it for his father's benefit. Because even after his death, the abuse cycle, it was still there. It was still there. I missed him. I cried for him. I mean, he viciously attacked me on several occasions and pled guilty to it. And I still wanted to defend him, protect him. But in life or in death, he does not deserve my protection. For the past 8 years, I have gone through hell to protect my child. And my husband has gone through hell to protect him for almost 4 years. And I realize now that we're the only ones worthy of that praise. I will always believe that my son's father's death was not an accident due to messages I received beforehand. I think he thought he was doing it out of spite, but really he gave me the gift of my son's safety. My husband and son, they're both into really nerdy things. And I mean, I think it's great. I love that I married a dude who geeks out. And my son, I'm proud of him for all of his interests. He excels in whatever he is interested in, and I could not be prouder. However, me, I don't get any of it. That don't stop me from trying, though. Listen, one day I was like, okay, I'm gonna make an effort to get into, anime with my husband and my kid. And I felt like I'd start with Pokemon because I felt like it's pretty mainstream. There's a lot of, a diverse group of people like Pokemon. If they can get into it, I can too, you know what I mean? So we sit on the couch or whatever and we start watching it, and I'm like, oh my god. You didn't tell me Kirby was in this. And they both looked at me at the same time and I'm like, what? My husband's like, why don't you tell him? And my son was like, that's Jigglypuff. Damn, my bad. So then my son changed his mind about what he wanted to be for Halloween. I says, well then what do you want to be for Halloween? He says, I want to be Link. I'm like, who the hell is Link? My husband's like, from Zelda. I'm like, you want to be somebody from the Warrior Princess? So the good news is that all of a sudden, my son seems to have an appropriate understanding about his father's death to an extent. The bad news is that he's telling people that he died in a shark attack. He tried to tell me. I'm like, little boy, do you know who I am? And just in case there is an afterlife or whatever, if there's ghosts and shit, to my baby's daddy, if you are telling our kid that you died in a shark attack, stop it. So it's my son's birthday and we're ordering him a birthday cake. And I ask him, hey, what type of cake do you want? I expected him to say SpongeBob or something. Now, for those who don't know, my son's autistic and he's very specific about things. He says, I want a Space Jam noodle cake. Yes, you heard that right. Space Jam noodle cake. Am I surprised by this?
No. Space Jam Noodle is one of the names he has for himself. It is. But this proved to be a little challenging when placing my order for his cake. I said what flavors and everything on the inscription. Happy birthday, Space Jam Noodle. I'd love to see the face of the cake decorator when they see that. And then I said, I'm so sorry. I know this sounds bizarre, but is there any way to add some planets and maybe some piping of spaghetti? I totally understand if not possible. We're not picky. I'll let y'all know how it comes out. So I just went in the other room to give my son a warning that in 20 minutes he was gonna start his bedtime routine. And all of a sudden I see it. The remnants of my son's favorite foam dice. My dog got them. He won't shut his bedroom door. Anyways, a look of terror went over his face. And what came out of his mouth next was, call the police. I told him we'll get some tomorrow. I ain't getting the feds here over foam dice. Hell no. You guys, the moment has come. That's just my son stimming in the background. We got the Space Jam noodle cake. That's just the alarm on his door. He's a flight risk. We gotta have alarms everywhere. Okay. So for those who don't know, my son is autistic, and he's very specific. And we asked him, hey, what type of cake do you want for your birthday? And I thought he'd say SpongeBob or something. He said a Space Jam noodle cake. Now, Space Jam Noodle is one of his alter egos. Another one he has is Said 22. Olathar is another one. So he has some alter egos for himself that he just makes up funny names for usernames and stuff like that. So I ordered a Space Jam noodle cake, and I love it. I personally love it. I think it has this, hold on, let me just show you first. Look, it says, happy birthday, Space Jam Noodle, and they have the planets and the little, spaghetti, I asked them to do, little spaghetti designs. So I'm just so excited how it turned out. Oh, look at my ring light across it. I just think it's so cool. I'm so thankful to whoever made it at Hannaford's. Thank you so much. So yeah, I hope you're all having a good night. That's the cake reveal.
Speak up when I hop about to cut, I promise I'm gonna speak up when I hop about to cut, I promise I'm gonna speak up when I hop about to cut, I promise I'm gonna make a scene.
You guys, since a lot of you have been following, our family's journey with my son having food aversion, I had to share with you some exciting news. So my son has literally eaten the same thing for breakfast every single day for 5 years, 4 years. Once in a great while, he'd have a bagel. Lately, he's decided, no, he's moved on. And not only will he eat eggs with cheese on it, but also he ate dry cereal. And I know most parents would be like, why are you excited about your kid eating a dry sugary cereal? Well, I'm ecstatic. Listen, if my kid wants me to cover for him and not snitch on his shenanigans, he's gonna have to cut me some slack. Amp up the communication, work with me here. Listen, my husband's at an interview the other day, okay? I had to take a shit. Now, I knew that leaving my son unattended for even 5 minutes wouldn't result in any bodily harm or injury, whatever, but there would be chaos. I come out, and of course, he has found a way. He has found a way to obtain a laptop. My husband's. But it didn't seem like he did anything. I took it from him right away. I'm like, you know better, you know better. And I just didn't say anything about it. Why would I? Until later on, my husband opens his laptop and says, did he get this? And I'm like, maybe for a second. I'm like, I had to shit. What did you want me to do? He's like, so basically he had it for 30 minutes. I'm like, no, 5 minutes. That's it. No big deal. And he just looked at me like he didn't believe a word I was saying. And why? Does he know that my son had that computer for a hell of a lot longer than 5 minutes? Because he created a project of himself with a cookie plastered on his face and it said Thug Life. You gotta let me know. Let me know what I'm working with. I started transitioning when my son was very young. And of course I had people like, your son is gonna resent you when you're older. This is gonna traumatize him. And I gotta tell you all, now that he's older, you were right. My transition did devastate him. And you can see this in the heart-wrenching video remixes he makes of videos about my transition. No, I mean, people have said like much worse about me as a parent who's a trans man, especially who's married to another trans man. Like, of course, I get, shit on for that. However, I am very, very big on respecting and accommodating my son's like sensory needs and stuff like that. And for that, I have gotten a lot of crap from a lot of parents. And in my opinion, not accommodating a kid's sensory needs, like, that's a basic need in my opinion, and a refusal to do so does directly reflect that they're not putting their child first. I got a good example of this. So my son's autistic, and he has long hair. He typically has long hair, and once in a while he'll decide to cut it, but it's a very rare occasion. He does not like haircuts. I shouldn't say he doesn't like haircuts. That's not the appropriate way to say it, actually. Haircuts are painful for him. You know when you get a haircut and the hair goes on you, and it's a gross feeling, a lot of people don't like it. If you could amplify that by like probably 3,000, like that's what it feels like to him. It's actually painful. He's been fired, I think it's by 2 or 3 barbers. His biological father has since passed away, but he used to be really big on, like, getting him, like, nice fades and making sure he looked, like, so, not just presentable, but fly. Me, I just could care less about my kid looking fly as long as he's happy, healthy, safe, clean, whatever. But he used to give me a lot of shit because I would not force my son to get haircuts. And of course he would, which is why my son was fired by multiple barbers. But it's also really kind of sad because to be fired from a barber, you could only imagine the meltdown that my son was having. I never ever get my son's hair cut or cut his hair myself unless he asks for it specifically, which is very rare. So sometimes his hair is very long for a boy. Sometimes it's in his eyes unless he gets it out of his eyes. Sometimes it looks a little raggedy. I mean, I wash it. I take care of it, you know what I mean? But he's got shaggy hair. I think it's kind of cool. But I do get a lot of crap from other parents, including his other biological parent at the time, about how it was so neglectful that I would allow my child to go around with a head full of hair that long in his face. Oh my God. But to me, it's neglectful or really almost abusive to force a child into a traumatic situation, like, for what? A haircut? Like, I can understand if, like, a kid has trouble, like, letting the parent brush their hair, care for their hair, basic needs, because that's sort of like a hygienic issue. But my kid can grow his hair out like Dave Grohl. I really don't give a shit. As long as he's happy and healthy, I do not care. Because to me, respecting and accommodating his sensory needs are a basic role to fit as a parent. You guys, I just had to tell you this because I think it's so cute. My son, like, he's very empathetic, which I'm very proud. I'm glad that he's empathetic, compassionate. I think those are 2 traits that, like, are just fantastic to have, and I think more people should have those traits at a higher level than they probably do. But because of this, when he watches movies, he tends to get, like, he's just very invested, and he gets, like, a little emotional at certain parts because he's so, like, invested in the plot and everything, and I think he, like, sort of feels the characters, like, what they're feeling, So he was watching a movie last night, and he got really upset. And my husband, I was working, I heard my husband, like, comforting him. My husband was like, listen, it's okay. It's totally normal to feel the emotions of characters. I can't even watch P.S. I Love You in front of your mother because I cry every time. All right, you guys, I just got a proud parent bragging moment, okay? So our son has been back in public school. He was homeschooled for a while, and we did a great job, might I say, because he's been getting, like, A's on everything, and not only that, not everything, but, like, almost everything he gets A's. Like, some stuff he'll get, like, a B or, like, a 98, which is still an A, I think. But he also tested out of phonogenics, I think it is. I don't know. It's above my pay grade. But I'm pretty proud that my son tested out of something I can't even pronounce and have no clue what it is. But he tested out of it. So I'm so proud of him. All right, as an update, it was not phonogenics. That's like a band name, I think. We're figuring it out. We'll get it. I'll get an A in this. Phonemic. It's phonemic. I don't know if that's how you say it, but it's phonemic. So, my kid, one of his preferred foods is, plain noodles, just plain. Well, it's spaghetti, but we call it noodles. But today, he didn't, I don't think he realized he could just say spaghetti, because he goes, I want noodles for dinner. And then he's like, I want line noodles.
And I'm like, what? And my husband's like, I think he said line noodles, and he meant spaghetti. So my kid calls spaghetti line noodles. You guys, I'm so excited. I had to share this with you. So we had our first parent-teacher conference for this year for our son. And listen, the thing I'm most proud of is that he's so funny. They say he's hilarious. He got the best one-liners. He is so fun. I mean, we knew he was hilarious, but to show that like everybody else thinks he's hilarious too. Was that the world?
Yeah. No,
Life just threw an acorn at me. Anyways, so this means a lot to me because when my son was first diagnosed, you know, with autism, this is obviously not true and outdated what I'm about to say, but I was terrified that he wouldn't have a good sense of humor or be able to share the sense of humor that I had, because all the like material I would read and stuff, it just painted autistic people in like a really awful, just really awful light. And so I was so worried. I'm like, how am I gonna relate to my kid if he doesn't think farts are funny? Like, how are we gonna go about that? Like, listen, I was really nervous about that, okay? And my kid's hilarious. My kid is hilarious. He is so smart. He's brilliant. I just wish that I didn't, you know, take seriously any professional who told me, you know, that my kid was probably not gonna like have a sense of humor. He wasn't probably gonna be affectionate, loving, you know, all these really outdated beliefs, which if people do have those traits, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I'm definitely not an affectionate person at all. But, you know, I wish that I didn't believe it, because I just wish I didn't believe it. I'm so proud of my son. He's so fucking funny. Because you want to know something? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're neurotypical. It doesn't matter if you're autistic. When you got my genes in you, you're fucking hilarious. And that's fact. Alright, you guys, I'm about to go get my kid from school. He's gonna be so happy. I got him a Happy Meal. But listen, see, what really happened is I wanted one of those little, like, Halloween boo box things, you know, like the trick-or-treating ones. And see, I got one for my son, like, I think it was last week when they first came out. And, like, I was low-key, high-key, so jealous. And I know, listen, I know you're supposed to be happy for whatever your kid has. Yeah, I know that's the right thing to say, but listen, I can't help it. I have an addiction to fat and sugar, and I love Halloween, okay? So I went and I ordered 3 Happy Meals for myself, my son, my husband, expecting those wonderful little treat things. I almost went Karen over it, but then I stopped and I said, no, you are no longer a white woman. You cannot walk into a store and be a Karen. You will get the squat on you. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, that's not a good idea. But I got one for him, and we already ate ours, so got him chicken nuggets. So he'll be happy at least. Listen, even if it's not a Halloween one, at least he got to experience it. That's what matters. That's what they tell you to say, to tell yourself. Listen, I'm about to go buy my son a strawberry shortcake doll. All he wanted for his birthday was a strawberry shortcake doll. And, like, honestly, this was one of my biggest fears. I'm laughing because not of the strawberry shortcake. I'm not shook by strawberry shortcake. But the fact that, like, I'm a trans man, my husband's a trans man, like, we're clearly in a gay, queer, whatever the fuck you want to call it, relationship, marriage, I'm married. And, I mean, we've been literally taken to court, you know, by my son's father, just on the basis that we're trans men raising a child, and that's, like, you know, influencing him in a bad way just because of who we are. So whenever my son asks for anything that, like, society kind of views as feminine, I would try to, like, redirect him in a different direction. So that's what I did this time. He said he wanted that, but instead I just, we did a bunch of other fun things I knew he wanted to do for his birthday. And another reason why I always try to steer him in another direction is because, like, you know, I don't want him to get, like, made fun of or anything like that. I went through that a lot growing up because of who I am, and I would never want that to happen to my child. I don't think anyone would. But, even though he didn't get a strawberry shortcake doll, he went to school, and when asked what he got for his birthday, he told everybody, I got a strawberry shortcake doll. So bottom line is, he wants that doll. He's gonna be proud of that doll. He don't care. And if it makes him that happy, he deserves that doll. And it's so funny that I would, like, buy into this stuff about how, like, certain toys shouldn't be for certain genders, honestly, because I mean, I'm a trans dude. I grew up playing with Barbies and baby dolls. My husband's a trans dude. He grew up playing with Barbies and baby dolls. Why weren't we injected with the hetero? My husband and I both are like constantly worried about like every step we take as parents, like hoping that, people don't think we influence our son in the wrong direction just because we're trans men. You know, when you live in a conservative kind of small town like that, that is something you're faced with. It's judgment you're faced with. I love where I live, but it's just a reality. But isn't it ironic how this fear of how others will view you as influencing your child, you directly influence your child in a not so wholesome manner? Because the reality is, it's just a toy. And he should be able to play with whatever he wants, whatever makes him happy. Studies show, case study right here, it doesn't change anything. And point blank, like, just to be clear, no matter what path my son takes in the future, as long as he's kind to others, I don't care. But the reality is, those people that would make judgments about, my parenting as a trans man, they're just searching for a reason. They'll find it no matter what. My son's getting that fucking strawberry shortcake doll. I don't know what's more insulting. The fact that my kid is out there trying to hack into my email. You can hear him, he's mad. Or the fact that he thinks my password is poo-poo power.